Thank you very much, and I'll start as Christine did with words of agreement, not just that Christine and I have had many robust discussions over the years, but have always remained friends with it. And I think what we both want to see is that whatever the result of the referendum, that people in Scotland do, as Margaret MacDonald wished, come together at 10 on the 18th of September and work with the decision that the people of Scotland made. The other thing which I agree is obviously Scotland can be independent, and this referendum isn't about whether Scotland can be independent. If a majority of people vote for independence on the 18th of September, Scotland will be independent. So that's not what this referendum is about. And it's not about patriotism either. It's not about how Scottish you are. If you think that it's best for you, your family, your community, for Scotland to vote no, then that is the patriotic vote in the referendum. It's not about individual policies, whether we like policies that are being pursued either by the government in London or the government in Holyrood. I don't like the idea of police officers being routinely armed, for example. I never voted for that to happen. But these decisions about individual policies are taken in elections. And one thing that there is no guarantee with independence or constitutional change is that policies will change. It's the people that are elected that will determine the policy. So independence won't bring equality or fairness just in themselves. It's whatever policies any government pursues. And most importantly of all, this isn't a taster. It isn't a, let's try this independence thing, and if it works after 2 or 3, then we'll go with it. If we don't like it after a few years, we'll go back. It isn't. This is a forever decision, and it won't be possible to go back to the arrangements that we currently have. So people have to be really sure in this referendum. And one message that I will give tonight is that if you do get to the 18th of September at 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 to 10 at night, and you still don't know on the basis of the arguments that you heard, then you really should vote no. You should not vote for something that you don't know what it is and the changes that it will bring. Now, I believe there is a positive case for remaining in the United Kingdom, and I think that will be made, I hope it will come out over the course of this evening in the questions and issues that you raise. And I think it's very important that a meeting like this is really run by you, and it's the issues that you want to talk about that determine what's said. There are really two types, I think, of argument in this debate. The arguments of the head, and I'm sure there'll be lots of questions on these head issues, like what currency we have in an independent Scotland compared to what we have at the moment in terms of the UK pound. And I'll argue that if people want to keep the UK pound, the way to do that is to vote to stay in the United Kingdom. We'll hear arguments, no doubt, about pensions, about public funding of public services. Of course, Christine mentioned the NHS, but the NHS is already fully devolved in Scotland, and it doesn't actually matter in England whether money is spent on private or public services. Scotland still gets its funding based on the overall package of money that's spent on the NHS. We make the decisions in Scotland about the NHS, and we need to be accountable here for issues like we hear on the radio this morning of overcrowding in wards, or another really serious issue in the lack of consultants filling vacancies in our hospitals. I believe that the current arrangement with the devolved Parliament in Scotland, which Christine and I have both served in, does give us the best of both worlds. The Scottish Parliament gets to take decisions which are appropriate to the circumstances here in Scotland, and those decisions can be significantly different from the rest of the United Kingdom, but we also benefit from being part of that bigger United Kingdom family with broader shoulders and deeper resources. And those resources are important in times of difficulty, such as the point at which RBS and HBOS collapsed. It was the ability of the United Kingdom as a whole to be able to finance the restructuring of those banks that allowed the United Kingdom to be able to carry on in the financial crisis in a way that Ireland and Iceland, where their banks collapsed, were not. So I think that we have a strong Scottish Parliament to which all the major parties have committed to take forward further devolution of tax powers, and I think that this debate, the independence debate, has highlighted why that's so important, because in many of the debates I've taken part in, people seem to feel able to argue that you can somehow have Monaco tax levels and Scandinavian levels of public service. And I think we do need to have a real debate in Scotland about taxation and spending. We need to decide what our priorities are in the Scottish Parliament, how much we want to spend, and how that money is raised. And I think the sort of tax powers which my colleague Ruth Davidson is proposing for the Scottish Parliament to have control over income tax will allow that debate and a proper financial discussion to take place in Scotland. But I believe that we should also be proud of the United Kingdom, of all that it's achieved in the past, in what it's doing at this moment, in its humanitarian activities in Iraq and Syria. In Syria, we're one of the leading providers of aid. And whilst it may be possible within Scotland to have views and want to shape events, the United Kingdom still has influence, and I believe that Scotland shapes events more through the influence of the United Kingdom than if we were on our own. So I think there are a whole range of positive reasons to stay in the United Kingdom, but I want to hear the issues and concerns that you have and the debate to be shaped by you. The one really positive thing that's come out of the referendum so far is public engagement. I think Christine would agree if we were having an election hustings, we probably would have 20 people in the room at most. All of them would have decided how they were going to vote. Instead, we've got a full hall and we want to hear from you. Thank you.